Hey, hey! This is kind of the long overdue ScaleTalk. We decided it was time to get Francois back over here. Actually, it was your idea.
Yeah. I called him up. I say, hey, I was in training, was finishing off early, so I said, let's go for a drive.
So we're going to talk about the big Jeep family here from Grandpa to Baby Jeep. And then we're going to do a trail ride and hook it on at the end of this video. So there's a lot of cool stuff going on here. I think we did a rig review on this already, didn't we?
Yeah, many years ago when I first got it, and it was nice and clean.
Wow. So for those of you who haven't found Francois' channel, it's called The Sims. He does the Tank RC. There's links in the video description box below on YouTube, and he's got IG and all this other fancy stuff. And if you know about him, you already know that he's got, I don't know, miles of trails behind his house. So this truck gets a lot of use.
Yeah. And my son's finally started playing with it instead of the Wraith. His Wraith broke down, so I give it to him. And he goes, no, Papa, I don't like it. It's got too small of a wheel. I said, try it. And he did awesome with it. Now he loves it.
Well, your trails, I think, are scale truck sort of oriented, right?
Yeah.
And
sand and logs and not a lot of rocks, but I'm trying to change that right now.
Are you carrying rocks?
Yes, I'm going to carry rocks in
in
there and actually glue them to the ground. So when we come next time, when you come and do your call to crawl, we're going to have rocks to actually climb.
Call to Crawl is a series that GCM puts on. We started a 2016 series already, and one of our events is going to be at the Tank RC's Fantastic Trails. So look forward to a video of all that. That's going to be pretty exciting. And the trails are long and they're in the woods. There's lots of varied terrain. It's a really nice place. And you can go to the Tank's channel on YouTube and see all kinds of trail runs.
Yeah.
So there's lots of good stuff there. So I'm a bit of a Jeep freak. As you guys all know, I love to build Jeeps and wheel them all to heck. So pretty much all my comp trucks, I think, for 5 years have been Jeeps. I just finally built a Bronco for my Class 1 comp truck this year, so I'm still a Jeep guy. Don't be too crazy. I like my Broncos, but I'm still a Jeep guy. So let's talk about all these. I know something about what's inside this one, but we'll get to that in a minute. So this truck.
Yeah, the first one here.
This is an HPI body, right?
This is an HPI body. Yes, it is an HPI body. And then it's actually on an HPI Crawler King that I converted to a HPI Wheelie King that I converted to a Crawler King. But,
so what do you have to do to convert that?
When you get the kit, you get longer links, longer dry shaft, and you get a transmission, and you get longer links for the steering wheel because now your wheelbase is a little longer. In the kit, you actually get new tires, beadlock tires, and they're very soft. Some people like them, some people don't. And that's about it that you get in the kit.
So there's a conversion kit available to go from a Wheelie King to a
Crawler King.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Because
that's very cool.
I had this truck. It was fun when it was a Wheelie King, but as I started evolving and playing with it more, it's just sat on the shelf, and I said I got to do something with it. So I saw that kit. I said, hey, I'm going to use it more. So I converted it, and then it still had the Wheelie King body, which was the pickup. But then I decided to do a body for my wife. She goes, I dare you to do it pink and purple. So this is the reason why this one is pink, and I did a Purple Heart. This is my wife's truck.
Pink and purple.
And I also put 4-wheel steering on it. So
is that like separate channels, or does it all go together?
Separate channel. I can have it do like a crawl like this. I can do it going like this.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And I can have it inside like this.
Yeah.
So, and I can even have it that just the rear wheel turns. I'm using a DX4, Spectrum DX4 to actually do this.
So that's like real monster truck steering.
Yes.
Yeah.
And what I did is, originally I had this servo on. I moved the servos to the bottom because that's the first thing you got to do with these Crawler King, Wheelie King. The linkage on them are very soft.
It's a push rod bell crank kind of steering, right?
Yeah.
And so it's a little bit sloppy kind of.
So level 3 has a steering that you can put on the bottom to bring the servo down.
Yeah.
And see, I've hit a couple rocks with this servo. The horn is actually just like bent almost like on a 45.
Oh,
just crazy.
Man.
But every time I drive this truck on video, people tell me I have the servo backward. Because as I'm driving, they see this in the rear. So they see the blue servo, but they actually don't see the black servo. So people are always telling me, you're driving your truck backward. So it's funny.
Yeah, it's kind of symmetrical anyways. I guess you can put the battery tray wherever too, and you have it in the front now.
Yeah, and one of the things that in the kit that you have to do is usually the battery's at the back for the Wheelie King because all the weight's at the back.
Yeah, yeah.
But when you actually make it, you got to flip everything around.
Yeah.
So now your front becomes the rear and so on, and the battery is now in the front. So all the weight's in the front.
Yeah. It's funny seeing one of those again. You know, the Wheelie King axles were like one of those axles that you would buy on eBay or RC Crawler and then turn them into a scale truck like that. Before there was tons of scale truck stuff out there, that was you started with one of those. Yeah. It was pretty cool. And then it kind of, I guess it turned into one of these, SCX-10. They share a lot of the same sort of geometries and stuff, so.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you've been wheeling this one now for something like a couple years at least.
Yeah, it's at least 2 years. And I finally last weekend, not last weekend, but the weekend before, I burnt the motor on it for the first time. So the motor lasted me almost 2 years on it. So which is pretty good. I drive this thing through everything. And sometimes I have water. I lose a truck almost in the water.
And were you doing a gigantic water bog there when your motor died?
Yes, I was in the water and there was a lot of ice, a lot of mud, and it was very, very dirty water trying to get through the water and trying to get up an impossible hill. Should have took my winch out, it would have been easier.
Yeah, so when I ran my RR10 Bomber in the springtime this year, I did exactly the same thing with it. It was all stock. And I took it through this super deep, muddy, watery, icy hole. And I think I got 5 or 6 passes through this bog hole, and then the motor just kind of dead. When I took it out, it was black.
And somebody told me not to use the Pro Lathe motor if I'm going to run it a lot in the water, in dirty water. It's to use the cheapest 35 turn that you can get.
Yeah.
They withstand the water and the dirt better than the Pro Lathe one, the motors that are rebuildable, so that's something to think about. Yeah,
the solid can motors that don't have replaceable brushes, there's no brush hood on them. They have, the brushes are just sitting on 2 springs, and so it doesn't really matter if they get dirty or wet or whatever, they still sit on the springs. And the ones that have the brush hoods, they get very picky on any kind of sand and dust and dirt in them, and the brushes hang up and then they don't work. Mm-hmm. So that was good advice.
Thank you.
Use the sealed can motor if you can.
Yeah. This one, the changes I've made since I was back here, I changed the bumper. It's a guy in Vancouver that did it. So I got a bumper with a stinger on it.
Yeah.
And I put one of your lights in the front. And at the rear also I got a bumper with a hitch, which you guys can't see, but
sweet.
It's all metal, and I got metal rock guards on it also. So.
Did you put inner fenders on it since then?
Yes, inside I've actually used, I don't know if I had that here last time, but I used Ziploc, and they actually hold pretty good because they actually hold, okay, let me get rid of my lights. Go on.
Cool. This thing looks used, I'm just saying.
Oh yeah. So I got inner fenders that I've used Ziploc for them. And when I installed my lights, I had to actually cut the front because the light buckets actually went in the front. But when I have it, it really helps the dirt not to get where the motor part is. And I had to install the deck because my servo, these servo are kind of power hungry.
Yeah.
Which are the Sawbacks. So as soon as I installed my Sawback servo, when I was driving, my car just stopped. And I couldn't do anything anymore. And I had steering, but like that's it. And then somebody said, well, put it back and it will fix all your problems. So I put a BEC in there.
So explain to everybody what a Beck actually is doing then. So you change your servo. This happens all the time.
Yeah.
You have a stock truck. You blow the servo gears out or something, so you go buy a nice juicy servo for it. You stick it in.
With a lot of torque.
A lot of torque. And then you have this electrical problem, and it's a bit of a gremlin. You don't really know how to fix it. So why does a Beck fix that?
Well, a Beck supplies power directly to your servo. Your ESC now has to have direct power to your ESC, and then you have power to this thing also. And this thing, your Beck, actually powers up your servo, and it's not your receiver that actually powers up your servo. It's actually the Beck that powers it up, but your servo still controls it. So you do have to cut a little wire off of the servo to make sure you're not sending power to it, because there's already power. So there's instruction to do that.
Yeah, and you can also get a little Beck plug-in that will, instead of chopping out the red wire and the servo, you can actually just use this little plug adapter, and the adapter removes the wire for you, so you can just kind of plug and go. It's easy.
What I did on mine is I know how to remove that little gold plug.
Yep.
So I actually pushed the plug back, vented it back, and then just taped it. So my plug is still there. If ever I need to reuse it, I just have to push it back in.
So the whole point of using a Beck is because when you can just imagine that you have a straw and you're putting all of your electrical power through a straw. Except when you put a big servo on, you actually need enough power like to fit through a stovepipe, but all you have is a straw. It's just not enough power. So anytime you get one of these nice servos with lots of torque there, they draw more power than the receiver can put through. And so when you use the servo, it stalls out the receiver. The receiver is just like, I can't figure this out, whatever. So that's the reason you put a Beck in your truck. And I know tons of guys, I still see tons of guys that are running trucks with no Beck. And they have big servos or multiple servos. They put big light bars on them or something, or they put a brushless system and there's no Beck. And what ends up happening is they end up with some electronic gremlins showing their face here and there, and that's probably the number one thing I stick on a truck, is put a Beck on it. Get some nice solid power going to the power hungry servos, and that seems to have cured a ton of my electronic problems too.
Yeah, it does. Since I put it on, I never had any issues with it, other than when I went in rapids and waterfalls. My Beck wasn't waterproof all the way, so it did get wet and it stopped working. But good thing it dried up and then it started again. And then I really plastic dipped the hell out of it, so because the end are not sealed. So staying out of waterfalls isn't the option. No, you got to get in the water. You got to get in the water.
Use more plastic dip.
More plastic dip.
Yeah, you don't keep the truck dry. You just use more. Yeah.
If you don't break anything, you're not having fun.
Well, okay. So that's nice. It's cool updates you're doing on that. It's amazing to me that this truck gets, I don't know how many hours of use every year, and
I put a lot of battery packs in there.
It's still going and going and going. It's crazy. So I was going to say we're going down in size in the Jeep family, but we're not, because this is a big truck.
Yes, it is.
Like this is a Sawback body, and a bunch of you guys have Sawbacks, and that's a big Jeep.
Yeah.
So what's going on with this? It's nice and low, by the way. I love that.
Yeah, I decided to do droop suspension on it. It used to be my the Razor buggy, the cage I got off of you, and my son just wasn't using it.
Oh.
And I asked him, why are you not using it? He goes, well, I want a Jeep. I want a military Jeep, because he's really into guns and he's really into a lot of things. I've actually made a 50mm gun here, and I forgot to bring it. But I made it, and the gun actually sits here, and then Sebastian's looking at it and goes, Papa, I see a problem. I go, what? He goes, well, when you shoot the gun, you're going to shoot the windshield. I go, well, when you shoot, you got to do this. So he's pretty smart. He's 6, but he's pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
But this I got from a friend. It was all blue before. I painted it, the surface. I had to scuff it up with a scratch pad that you do final sanding with. So the whole outside of the body, I scuffed it up, and then I used an army paint, the Krylon, the one that you actually put on plastic.
Yeah, I like that one too.
So it's been holding up a lot, but I noticed inside here where the guys sit, because it really bends a lot, it actually chipped a little bit. But what I like about this is what I had to do also for the lights, because it was all painted blue.
Oh.
So all the lights, the front, the rear, everything, I had to take some .3 brake fluid.
Ah, I heard about this trick.
So you take .3 brake fluid, you put it on your paint.
Yeah.
And then you wait a little bit. You wait, the next day you can go back, or you wait a few hours. Some people like waiting longer. But when you go back, I was trying to scrub it off. But that's the mistake. And I was trying to rub it off and use a Q-tip and actually try to get it off. It just wasn't working. And I said, this is stupid. It should come off easier. And then I just take my fingernail and I go, foop, like this. it all comes off. Like, it was crazy. So you use your fingernail or a knife or whatever, and it just comes right off.
It's almost like the brake fluid is soaking into the paint.
Yes.
But it doesn't hurt the plastic.
It does not hurt the plastic, and it doesn't become hazy. Some paint remover that you actually use will give you a haze on your Lexan because it actually burns the Lexan. This one will not. You do have to be careful, though, because if you do get a residue or a drip or a drop somewhere else on your body, because I did this after painting this, I had some spots where I had to retouch, but this is military Jeep, so it didn't show that much, and I can't even tell.
It's pretty easy to respray, though.
Yeah, you just respray it, or what I did is I sprayed my can, and I sprayed it on a cloth.
Yep.
Or a cardboard, and then I just took a paintbrush and I just touched it up.
I've done that too, yeah.
So it's a heck of a lot easier than masking something, especially this is military, so it doesn't need to be perfect, because it will get scratched up.
You can't tell. I mean, I know you've driven this thing before, and same with your son, but you can't tell because it looks clean, tidy, very tidy. Yeah.
And I did a custom bumper using a rack rail. It's a rack faceplate. So this is no soldering, no nothing. I just used my Dremel, cut it up, then 2 pieces, and made my bumper.
That's a totally authentic Jeep way of doing a bumper, by the way.
Yeah.
It looks just like the real thing. And a winch.
Yeah, and I got a winch, and the winch is actually on top. I like the style. I wanted it all black. First one I got from Great Hobbies. After the second time it actually went in, this is the new Great Hobbies winch.
Uh-huh.
Second time after I pulled it in, pulled it out, I go, great, it works, and all of a sudden, it just stopped.
Oh.
So it was almost dead out of the box. Went to Great Hobbies, they said, no problem, here's another one. But the one they had in stock was red. They said, do you want to wait for the other one? I said, no, give me the red.
Yeah.
I got some red accent stuff, the cans and all that, so it actually matches, and Sebastian actually liked it. So
looks good. And will it pull the Jeep up a hill or something?
The winch, yes. The winch is strong enough. It's a nice, strong little winch. And that's what Sebastian wanted, and I actually got because he's 6, I didn't want to put a lot of buttons on his remote controls.
Yeah, yeah.
So I got the wireless key fob.
That's really handy.
To control it.
Yeah.
And all my electronics on here are actually in a balloon.
Oh.
And this is actually held just by magnets.
So does he drive this thing through the creek too, the same as you?
He hasn't yet, but he probably will. Oh, I did have a balloon. Sorry, I didn't put the balloon back. But all this electronic was in the balloon.
Yeah.
So I got to put it back in the balloon because I was doing some tests, making sure all my lighting, and I got to put waterproof the lighting control.
Yeah.
The ESC is waterproof. That's
we should give you you need a strap there to keep the wire out of your spur gear there, just in case. Well, if you're going to go in the creek, you never know.
Yeah, and I did a battery tray to actually hold the battery up the front here. This is all made of styrene.
How do you like working with styrene?
It's almost like working with cardboard. You just cut it and glue it together.
Yeah.
And the only thing is painting it is a heck of a lot different because I painted this with Krylon black paint that's supposed to be good for plastic.
Yeah.
But styrene is not plastic, and it's very lusty finish, and it just did not stick.
Ah.
So when I pulled my balloon out, half the paint came off of it.
So this is the Cross Canyon chassis from GCM.
Yes, this is a Cross Canyon chassis, and
it used to be underneath that the Razor buggy tube buggy scale build, I guess it would be, and then you converted it over to this.
Yeah.
And what you're using now for the drivetrain in this, still the same as it was before? Still
the same as it was before. It's an SCX10 transmission. It's got your transfer case. I had, because the Jeep is the wheels are so forward and the nose is so flat, I had to get creative on the frame, on the GCM frame. I had to drill 2 new holes to actually hold the servo mount.
Which fits perfect, by the way.
Yeah. So everything is nice and snug against the transmission. Still got a little bit loose, and now when I put it all together, it actually...
that's so easy. And everybody on the channel already knows I love magnets, so I mean, that's... No clips, so easy. I got to put more magnets or stronger magnets on this one. It's a little bit weak. If you're just on the trail, go having fun, it's not bad, but as soon as you flip it, the body does come off. Ah. So... well, maybe that's not a bad thing. No. Then it doesn't get broken. That's right. Yeah, then you have 2 trucks. And my son likes Undertaker, he likes wrestling, so I got him an Undertaker little guy to actually fit in there, and he fits pretty good in there.
because he's like a 7-foot tall guy. So
This is that's a big guy actually.
yeah.
Like I don't know if he would fit in most of my trucks, but in the Sawback scale, that's totally perfect. Like he's a good height for the whole thing. You know?
Yeah, I've seen some people with Sawbacks and they put a guy in there and they use a little bit bigger guy and the guy's head is way taller than the. But this one is not bad. I bought the stickers to put back inside and for the dash and all that. So this is my little guys.
You did lights on it.
I did lights on it. I got a light kit on there. So
cool.
nice
I like that.
truck.
I'm amazed at how the scale looks really good, and it has this friggin' huge tire on it. Like that's a huge. Is it 4.75 or 4.7 or something?
Yeah, it's a 1.9 tire rims.
Yeah.
And the reason this has droop suspension is that no matter if you push on here, it won't hit the body, but it will actually flex and go up. And I've made it so that it doesn't hit the body, or almost doesn't hit the body when you actually flex it from the right to the left.
Yeah, droop is awesome.
So it just drops down. The only thing I have to do on here is either change my spring to weaker springs or actually put weight on the axle, because these are the SCX10 axle.
Yeah.
They're plastic, they're not heavy, and I don't have weights in the wheel, and I'd rather put weights on the axle. So I did buy some weights, and I'm going to do some experimenting with actually using an old SCX10 axle and warming up the lead and actually try to build a mold that's actually going to fit on there, so it's going to be easier to actually tie it, and it's going to stay there.
That will totally work, by the way.
Yeah.
That will totally work.
I'm creative that way.
Yeah, you're
crazy
very creative.
ideas.
No, and most of your ideas are pretty top shelf. Yeah. That's nice. That's a great truck. I bet you Sebastian's really happy with that.
Yeah, Sebastian really likes it, and when I was building it, he says, "Well, Papa, what you taking so long? What's taking so long?" I go, "Well, I got to make it perfect. I got to make it nice." So.
Yeah.
And plus, it was winter. You can't really drive these things in the winter that much. You can, but not that much.
Yeah, you get bogged down in the snow. We have lots of snow up here.
Oh yeah.
So you were laughing about these earlier. What are these things for? Does anybody know what these are for? They come in your Axial SCX10 box and your Wraith box. Do you know what these are for? Anybody?
Yeah, I still get on the channel on Facebook and other channels. What do I use these for? These are actually trail markers. They're put on the rocks on the trail, and you usually get 2 or 3 in the box. But you can actually buy more from them. And when you put them on the trail, you put them about 12-inch apart. And then when you come with your truck, you got to go in between them without hitting them. If you hit them, it's a penalty.
Yeah.
So it's almost like the flags. Some people use flags, and you have a bunch of flags here over there when you do your events.
Yeah, we do flagging. The only problem with using the flags is when you get on the rocks.
Yeah.
How do you do that?
Yeah.
I mean, this is the only way to do it really with a rock, because these will sit. They're hollow, right? They sit right on top of the terrain. They're really nice.
And you can really put them on an angle. On a rock, you can really put them on an angle, and it actually stays there.
Yeah, they're really good for setting up rock. Most of our trails tend to have a little bit more dirt on them at some point, so we just sort of flag it around there. But I agree that those are really good for rocks. Yeah. Yeah, so an SCX10 comes with trail markers. They're trying to tell you something.
Yeah.
No bashing.
No, they're not meant for bashing. They're not meant for racing.
Crawling. That's it. So we go down to the baby of the Jeep family here, and this has a pretty unique history, I think, eh?
Yeah.
It looks to me like a New Bright TJ body. Looks like 10-inch wheelbase, maybe, or is this the big New Bright? I don't know.
I have no idea what the wheelbase of the E10 is. I bought that kit off a guy who was used. The body was all painted, and he was actually trying to fit this on here. Yep. And I actually finished it for him because, well, I bought it all from him. Yeah. And I finished the interior, and I cut the back so it actually sat a little lower. So now my suspension shocks are actually going through the back a little bit.
This is this is a drift truck, 100%.
Yes. You don't take that in the trail. Well, you could.
As long as you got a hook on the front for this Jeep to carry it through.
Or a trailer to put it in the trailer. So I haven't done a video yet with this thing, but hopefully we get outside and I want to set up these cars and actually try drifting between the cars. I'm not a drifter, so I hope you are a little bit, and you will be able to drive it a heck of a lot better than I will.
I doubt it.
But we're gonna give it a try and try to drift this guy, and we're gonna go for a trail ride with these trucks.
So this is they're kind of a cool, unique thing. Each one of them is unique in their own way, you know. One of the things that you get to see here is what you can do with Lexan bodies. I mean, wow. This is full cage, you know, SCX-10 Wrangler. And then, of course, the Sawback is a Lexan body, which still looks fantastic. Good accessories on it, just the right amount of stuff to make it have that military feel.
Yeah, and the battery tray is all Lexan. Like, I see people building some out of cardboard or some out of Lexan, and some of them are actually buying the kits that are metal.
Yeah.
If you're creative enough, go to the hobby store, buy the Lexan plastic. They have small little sheet. It's just like cardboard. You cut it up and you glue it together and you put it there, and it's waterproof. It's really good.
Yeah, I like using the plastics for battery trays for covering over my spur gear sometimes in the front to keep the wires off it. I've made little L brackets out of styrene or Lexan, bent Lexan, and then you can use it for mounting interiors or whatever. There's lots of options with that. And then, I mean, you get the creativity like this one. I mean, I had E10s with the Subaru WRX body on them.
You never made a Jeep one?
I never made a Jeep one. I never thought of that. That's pretty cool. You have an on-road Jeep. I mean, the E10 was a great car. I pounded those things. Oh my goodness! On my Subaru there, I put the rally block tires on it, and I just pounded it.
So basically, this is a stock E10. Not much change on it. The only thing that I basically changed on it, because when I got it, I did not have the tray that the electronics sits on. So there's actually a tray that comes here. Your ESC fits on it. Your receiver and your servo sits underneath the ESC.
I remember that tray.
So what I had to do is I put everything on the ground, and which made everything lower. But the servo, I had to get creative because I was trying to use the servo horns that come off the SCX-10. It didn't want to work. Mm-hmm. So all of a sudden I see two body posts. And they were just long enough. They're about 1.5 inches long. And I said, hey, this would be perfect. It's got little holes in it. I used my reamer to make the hole a little bit bigger. And I put my servo on it, and everything's fine now. So.
And these are just a straight, easy to deal with 4-wheel drive. I mean, if you're going to set up a drift car, that's a pretty great way to just get into drifting and have some fun ripping around on the cement.
Yeah.
Cool.
And you can get creative. As long as you get a body that's the same wheelbase or close to it, you can jimmy something and do holes and drill holes and make it fit on it.
Yep. And you did. And the result is pretty cool.
And that's what I liked about it. It really sits low, and I have never seen a Jeep drifter before. So and after I posted it on some groups, a guy said, "Yeah, I did mine too." So and then you're starting to see that some people did do them, but it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
And this one actually, the windshield comes down.
Typical Jeep.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, let's take these things outside and see if we can't find some rocks and dirt and stuff like that and rip them around.
Yeah, and don't forget to buy scale accessories like ropes and things like that. If you go trailing and you have a winch, lots of fun to use. Or even if you don't have a winch, you can just get a rope and just fake that you have a winch and pull your truck. We like to play a lot like it's no hands of God, we call it.
Yep.
Which means your hands should never touch your truck. So you always use a hook, a rope, and you pull your truck back onto its wheel, or you use a friend to pull you back up. It just makes it funner, and my son really loves that when we go out and do that, even in the backyard.
Oh, it's lots of fun. You might need a tow rope on this if we go out under the rocks.
Yes.
Let's go find out.
Cool.
Thanks for watching, guys. Stay tuned. In the next few minutes, we're going to pile on a bunch of footage from these trucks in the great outdoors. Bye-bye.
Not a drifter. Oh, I lost my back seat. like I gotta get. And that's this one. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So now you can actually turn on a dime.
Yeah.
So it's this one.
Oh,
Oh, this is a winch. Shit. My winch thing went in. So this one's a winch.
Okay,
It
I probably
actually
won't
went in.
use it anyway. I'll just just put it. It doesn't do anything, yeah?
Which one? That one.
Okay.
Don't slide. There we go. Put a branch into my body. My little dice.
Wobbling around.
Yeah. I don't have balls, but I got dice. My
That's
post
quite a
went.
problem to have.
Yeah, my post went through the body, so I actually put washers now to actually stop it from going back. So until that washer goes through, I'm gonna have to put bigger washer, and then I change the body.
You may want to change the body at some point.
Here in the bidding, I'm making a bumper, but it's going to be hidden at the back, inside.
Put a slide there, just a little bit of a sliding ramp there, so when you go over something, it doesn't catch inside.
Yeah.
That actually helps a ton.
Well, especially with the Jeep, the wheels are so much in the front, it really helps you on the rock compared to here. This bumper, this thing always gets stuck on the rocks.
Caught.
Yeah.